Hi. Yesterday, a good friend who usually has very good ideas about enhancing and how to enhance Coreboss pitched me one about having or being able to execute business rules, Coreboss business rules, from the workflow system. Basically, actually, the idea was to be able to launch a decision table through the workflow system and get the result back. Since the Corpus rules are contain the decision tables, I actually did that. I added a function here where you can actually execute a rule against the map and get the result and put it into a field. So let's have a quick look at how that looks, and then I'll do the decision table too. Okay, let's add a new workflow for organizations because I have some custom fields there for testing that make it a little easier. And let's put here update with rule, and every time I save. Okay, new task, update field, and the task I'm going to do is I'm going to update the custom text field that I have on the module with an expression which is, let's bring this up a little bit, so which is down here, get evaluate rule. Okay, evaluate rule will accept a rule ID, launch it depending on what type it is, because rule supports condition queries, condition expressions, and decision tables. And whatever the result inside the context of the record that the workflow system is triggering on, it will return the result. So if we come over here to the business maps that we have, I have one here which is a condition query somewhere. Condition query, account name query. Okay, this one is nice. This is an SQL query which gets the account ID, account name. So this will obviously just work on the accounts module, which is what I am triggering on and it returns the account name. Okay, so if I get this number here and I put it into the workflow rule ID here, it will actually go look for that map, launch the query, get the account name, and save it inside the custom text field that I have here. Let's give that a try. Here I have a test record. There's nothing in the text field. I'm just going to edit and save, and now in the text field I have the same account name of the record that I'm on. So it evaluated the rule, launched the query, and saved the value here. We can also launch condition expressions. I'm going to do this one, which is, I know, the uppercase string. The one before this one is nice. This one is a hard-coded condition expression. It's just uppercase this string. But what's really nice here is that I'm showing you that you can actually trigger into the whole workflow system and do anything that you can do with the workflow expression. So you could do conditions like the employees bigger than 10, employees bigger than 10, or sum. This is a sum, but we can also have, I don't know if we have some condition examples, but if you have an if this or that or anything like that, all of those expressions, anything you can write with the workflow system is going to work for you. So let's do the uppercase string, this one, which should give me back this string. This is 3431. So we edit the workflow task, we change 34 38 34 31, save, and here on the record we edit and save again to trigger the workflow. And now I have here the uppercase of this string, so we can plug into the whole power of any business map, which is a little bit redundant because we could already do that with the expression editor and the update workflow task, but we couldn't do the queries. And now I'm going to do the decision table, which is really where the real power comes in. I'm going to do the season guest decision table on the organization module, and I'm going to copy here on the documentation. We have an example which is this map, which says that that's going to evaluate the season if it's fall, and if guest account is smaller than 8, then it's spare ribs, and if not, it does not pass, and it will trigger on to the next one where it's season winter. Anyway, you can read the documentation. This is a hard-coded kind of expression map, which is exactly what we can do. Obviously, if this one works, all the other decisions maps that you can put in the system will also work. So I'm just going to copy paste that in and save. Okay, so now I have this. If we trigger this, I suppose what's going to happen, since we don't have season or guest account, it'll probably go all the way to the last one and return some default value. Let's try that just to see what happens without any context. Let's go to the workflows again, the task, edit this one, and plug in the decision map we just made, and let's edit this one and save. Okay, does not pass, okay, because there's no rule, there's no context, there's no value for season or for guest account, so it can't actually do anything at all. So how do we get values into season and guest account? Well, actually, since the map, these expressions again are evaluated in the context of the record that we're evaluating. I mean, here I'm using season and guest count, which are artificial variables, but if I was actually using, I don't know, number of employees and industry, we could create a decision map where it says, okay, if number of employees is smaller than, the other way, if the industry is food and beverage and employees is less than 8, then you return this. If not, I mean, we can do any expression we want. But we added a few weeks ago a new task, a new type of task, which is execute expression. The execute expression task, what it does is that it actually lets you load into the workflow context any variable or any expression you need. Okay, the idea is that a few months ago, or a long time ago, I don't know how many months already, time flies, we added the possibility that all the tasks that are run inside a workflow share the same context. That means that if one task loads something into the context, the next task actually can see, access, and do anything with that context. So you can actually load things into the message queue, for example, and then read them on another another task, and then use them on another one, or in the settings, or directly into the context, which would be just memory of the shared workflow. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to actually use this one to set the context of the execution. As you can see here, what happens is that I have an expression, and I'm going to load this expression with the context here in the, again, let's load this up a little bit so it's a little easier to see. Here at the bottom, again, we have a setting, get settings, set to context, and get from context. Okay, so you can actually set something in the context and then read it in another task. In this case, I'm going to put here the season variable, and I'm going to give it a value of what? Let's do spring. Okay, this one's good. Spring. Okay, so that would load it into the context of the workflow. Here we're going to put season, add, and we're going to add another one with the same kind of thing. Expression, set to context, and now we're going to put the guest count. I'm going to just copy that from here, and guest count, and we're going to put a 2 because I think the rule was smaller than 4. Okay, I want to get this dry aged gourmet steak. Okay, so it has to be season equals spring and guest count lower than 4. So actually I'm loading these things. Copy this one. I'm loading those two values into the context. Okay, now we have them in the context, but notice here that I did the set context after the update rule. So if we execute this, they're going to be executed in order, and I'm going to set the context after. That's not going to be any use, so I have to move this one up. So now they will be in, and here in the update with rule, we the way which I programmed it, actually by default the rule will get the full set of context already fed in, so we don't have to do anything else. If it weren't like that, here in this season here, I would have to put a get from context function, the one that we're the equivalent, or the other side of the set context too. Okay, I could do that. Actually, I could put here get from context season equals winter. I don't have to do that because the evaluate rule that does that for us by default. It understands that usually you're going to want to have access to the context that the workflow is running in, so it does that for you. Okay, so let's give that a try. We save, and we have here dry aged gourmet steak. So it's really that easy to plug in now to the whole CoreBoss rule system, and that includes the decision tables, where we can do really all kinds of magic in the workflows. Enjoy your CoreBoss.